Good afternoon, everyone. It is Glen Calloway coming to you from the basement. I am so happy today because I get back together with my best buddy in the YouTube. Well, sorry, Larry, if you're watching.
Sorry,
It's
Larry.
Sam St. John. How you doing, Sam?
Glenn, it's been far, far, far too long for the Glenn and Sam show, Sam and Glenn show, whichever
The
you
Sam
want
and
to call
Glenn
it.
show are back. Yes.
Far
Yeah.
too long.
Yeah. So hopefully it won't be as long before we do the next installment. But
Absolutely.
today we're going to do, what are you going to call it? Albums that kind of were released under the radar, or we feel that should have gotten more attention. Is that, or
Yeah,
albums we want to turn people on to that didn't get enough attention?
that's almost like our version of everybody's got something to hide except for me and my monkey.
Yeah, yeah. Except what I think I'm the monkey though. I don't know if
Yeah,
I'm-
okay, well, yeah, I guess it's just albums in our collection that deserve more recognition, something like that. But whatever you
Yes.
want to call it, that's what we're doing.
Yeah. So obviously we're not going to be doing classic rock artists and Beatles and Stones and Zeppelin. This is going to be a bit more obscure to some viewers, but hopefully you'll have an open mind and check some of these albums out on your favorite streaming service or buy them from your friendly local record store. So Sam, I'll let you go first.
Okay, and I know again, Glenn mentioned not talking about like the big names, but I would be remiss if, and I know Glenn just mentioned it in a video he's in with the Canadian Stud Muffin with Larry. I know that you recorded it a while back, but you had mentioned two albums that were released on 11/22 with the Beatles and the White Album. So it's 11/22 as we record this. So happy anniversary to these two UK.
That's
releases.
right. Oh, that's the day today.
It is the day. So
Coincidentally, I was just watching that video. It was just uploaded today.
I watched it this afternoon. And so I was like, hey, that's right. So I wanted to show these. So
I kicked Larry's
listen,
butt at trivia.
you did.
But my questions were harder.
They were. That's how you want to word it. But anyway, listen to these are the UK releases, 1963, 1968.
Happy
So,
anniversary.
happy anniversary to the Beatles. Now, with that being said, let me move on. And these are not ranked. These are just 10 albums. I've got them in the stat. And I'll just jump right into it. The first is from a great artist that I've been getting into since COVID started. I've discovered a lot of new music just with the nature of being at home. And this album by this great artist is called The Rose of England by Nick Lowe and his cowboy outfit.
Nick Lowe's great.
And if you like, it's got some rockabilly elements. It's got power pop. It's got some country elements into it, just pure pop. I would say the big hits on this are The Rose of England and She Don't Love Nobody. She Don't Love Nobody is, of course, written by John Hyatt, and that song was done later by the Desert Rose Band with Chris Helm. But I've listened to this album so much in the past 6 months because I just discovered it this year, and just songs like Seven Nights to Rock, Darling Angel Eyes, I Knew the Bride When She Used to Rock and Roll, which is the instrumentation of that song and guest vocals are by Huey Lewis and the News. And it's just it's a fun song. It's got some great covers on there. It's got some great originals. And if you don't know Nick Lowe, any of his material, check it out. This is the second that he released with the cowboy outfit. And one of the members of the cowboy outfit is Paul Carrick, of course, who's done everything with Squeeze. He was in Mike and the Mechanics. He's had a solo career.
Great voice.
It's a who's who of musicians on this thing. Elvis Costello has a hand in it. So yeah, it's called The Rose of England. Nick Lowe and his cowboy outfit from 1985. Great music on it. It's a fun album.
I got to check that one out. A friend of mine came over and lent me a streaming device that it's hooked up to my stereo, so I've got Spotify, so I can listen to stuff now. So I'm keeping a list.
Oh, great! Great.
Well, I'm going to start with the one that I'm most excited to show,
the
new album from this year. So just in case the viewership starts to fall off, I want the most amount of people watching when I show this.
Absolutely.
This is a new album that I think is just incredible. It's probably going to knock off Dolan's does Nesmith for #1 album, but it's not
Ooh.
to everyone's taste. So Bela Fleck,
Uh,
My Bluegrass Heart. This
yeah.
album is freaking fantastic. Sam, you got to get this. I'm telling you, you will love it.
Yeah, I don't have it. I haven't listened to it.
It's incredible. And I understand the CD has some bonus tracks that the album doesn't have.
Okay.
This is so good. I mean, oh, it's just unbelievable music. It just is. And everybody's on this. Molly Tuttle is on, and Stuart Duncan, and Brian Sutton, Jerry Douglas. I mean, just incredible playing. It's so good. It's probably Bale's greatest album as far as I'm concerned. The man's been recording since 1979.
Wow.
And it sounds amazing. They're touring right now with a great band that's getting great reviews. Just check some of this out. Even if you're not a bluegrass fan, just check out the virtuosic playing. I can't say enough about it. It just excites
Wow.
the hell out of me. Fantastic album. My Bluegrass
I know
Heart.
it's got Chris Thiele is on it, and so is Billy
Chris Stiley's
Strings
on.
and
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. It's just everybody.
who.
Yeah,
Very cool.
you got to hear it, man. I know
I
you
need to
will.
hear it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm done.
Cool.
The rest of the show is yours. I'm just gonna watch.
Okay. Well, let me jump to, and this for me, and I know at some point I'm going to do a best of 2021, and I know this one's going to be in my top 5, unless something just completely blows this out of the water. This might be my #1 of 2021. That's a spoiler. And I've mentioned this in several videos. This is called Long Lost by Lord Huron. And I mean, when I say this album is a masterpiece, I say that with all seriousness. And I know those words are thrown out, and we've all mentioned it, oh, he's a genius. This album is a work of art, whatever you want to call it. But I seriously say that this album is a masterpiece. It's just, it's one of those albums that you have to listen to it all. It's intended as that. They actually have a little disclaimer down here that say this recording is intended to be enjoyed in sequence and without interruption. And it's kind of set up like it's a radio broadcast, because it's got some little like interlude songs. I mean, there's 16 tracks, but it has it's got 3 little like 20-second, 5-second interludes. And then the first song is like a minute long. It's like an intro, but it's got cinematic elements. It's got rockabilly. It's got ballads. It's got country. It's, if you know what Lord Huron sounds like, I mean, it's the classic Lord Huron sound, but there's a song on here called I Lied featuring Alison Pontier. I think is how you pronounce her name. And it's talking about, it's like the ultimate breakup song. It's just the saddest song that you'll ever hear. Just the most beautiful lyrics to it. I mean, I wish I had better words to describe this album. And if anybody has heard this album, they'll know what I'm talking about.
I'm
But
dying to hear that one. I love the cover too. It's very cool.
Oh, it's fantastic. And again, it's set up, even like the inside artwork is set up like it's based on a fake recording studio. So like these are like the fake albums that come out of this recording studio called Whispering Pines.
Okay.
So it's all an art piece, and I think it's
wow.
brilliant.
I've never heard of that. That's really interesting. Thank you for that one.
Yeah,
I got to listen to that. My next one is going to be, I'm cheating a little bit because it's a series of releases that I don't think are that well known. It should be. So if everybody's familiar with Bear, Stanley Oswald, the guy who kind of invented LSD, didn't invent it.
Yeah, Owsley. Yeah,
a manufacturer of LSD and provider that's in California and basically around the world. He was also he's infamous for that, but he's famous for being a sound man.
Yeah,
Grateful Dead sound man. And he did a lot of the sound for concerts at the Carousel Ballroom, Fillmore, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They've unearthed all his sound recordings, and they're releasing them just a couple a year. And they've done some great releases. So I just want everybody to know they're called Bear's Sonic Journals. So this one is a box set. It's Doc Watson. Doc and Merle Watson,
Mm.
recorded live at the boarding house in May 1974 in San Francisco. It's fantastic. It's like the whole weeks of performances. It sounds amazing. And Doc and Merle at their top of their game. There's a new one right now that just came out that more people might be interested in. It's Johnny Cash at the Carousel Ballroom, April 24th, 1968.
Mm.
And that one I'm dying to get. So
I've heard of that one.
it's
Yeah,
just-
that was
it's
on my
just
list.
been out maybe the last 2 or 3 weeks. There's an Allman Brothers one from the Fillmore in 1970. There's the guys from Hot Tuna and Jefferson Airplane, Jorma Kekkonen, and why am I forgetting his
Cassidy.
name? Jack Cassidy playing bass. And there's a World Music one with Ali Akbar Khan playing with Zakir Hussain, which is really good. Got a beautiful cover
Wow.
if you're into Indian music. But anyway, there's just a whole bunch of them. Go to Bear Sonic Journals. There's a whole bunch of them out. I just want to mention that the series is fantastic. When they come out, they're all so well done that check them out.
That sounds great. I forgot about that Johnny Cash one until you mentioned it, and I was like, that one's on my list. I need to get
Yeah.
that. All right. Next up, another great one from this year. And I know you would like this if you haven't heard it already. And it is the newest from Lucas Nelson and Promise of the Real,
Okay.
called A Few Stars Apart. And of course, Lucas Nelson, that strapping gentleman right there in the hat, that's Willie Nelson's son, one of his sons. And he, of course, he's been backing up Neil Young for several 4 years now. As well as some every now and then with his brother Micah is also in there every now and then as well, the younger brother. But this album is produced by Dave Cobb, who's produced a lot of Americana country records. And it's just got some beautiful songs on here. It's got a very birdsy sounding song. The second one is called Perennial Bloom, which is just very jangly, very birdsy. Some beautiful songs like the song Wildest Dream. That's a great rocker. The opening track, Will Be All Right, is just a beautiful ballad. And if you don't know Lucas Nelson, he's the real deal. I mean, he's got his dad's inflection and his singing, but he's his own man, and his music is his own. And yeah, it's one of those deals where, like, oh, he's just going off of his dad's name. Nah, this guy, he's the real deal. So
what's the name of the album again, Sam?
it's called A Few Stars Apart, and it's also out on vinyl, which I have a colored vinyl edition as well, but I had to get the CD too for the car because the album's so good.
Excellent. Thanks. You've given me 3 albums that I'm not aware of at all.
Great.
Another one that came out this year, which I don't think is getting enough love. I don't see many people talking about it in BC, was the great album from Chrissy Hind. Chrissy Hind sings Bob Dylan, Standing in the Doorway. This is a beautiful record. And accompaniment is just basically acoustic guitar and piano. Bit of harmonica here and there, but it's just a really, really nice album to listen to. She does such a great job. And I think that the great thing about this is when people do, cover versions of Bob Dylan, they're doing what you would call the hits or the most popular songs. But this is all deep cuts. So, You're a Big Girl Now, Standing in the Doorway, Sweetheart Like You, Blind Willie McTell, Tomorrow Was a Long Time, Every Grain of Sand. It's just a beautiful, beautiful recording. It sounds great, and love this. Great album.
I have to get that. I really do. Well, let me jump back in time a little bit here, and let me just this is probably the most popular album on my list, if you want to call this artist popular per se. And I know you know this album, but people really need to give this guy a chance if they don't know his songwriting, and that is Mr. Tom Waits.
Tom's first album.
The first album, Closing Time, which, in terms of like his saloon singer albums, this is by far the best of those first 4 or 5 albums that he did. Just great stuff. It's mostly just Tom on piano. There's a little bit of instrumentation, some horns and things like that, but
Yeah.
it opens with Old 55, which of course the Eagles did, and then goes right into I Hope That I Don't Fall in Love with You, which is just one of the most beautiful songs ever. Old Shoes, Picture Postcards, Martha, Grapefruit Moon, and then Rosie, Little Trip to Heaven on the Wings of Your Love. It's just beautiful piano music, just kind of like eat your heart out music. Just sit in a dark room and just listen to Tom Waits on a summer evening. It's just there's no better way to spend a night than to listen to this album, and I think it needs to get more love than it does.
Yeah, and if I can make a comment on it too, it's the most accessible Tom Waits album for people who hear Tom Waits as kind of what I'm going to call Captain Beefheart voice. That just they can't take it. This album, he's actually sings, I'm going to say, like kind of in a more
croony kind of.
It's different. It's a different singing style, much more pleasing to the ears of people who kind of don't like the far. So, but great record. I love it.
It is.
Yeah,
for sure.
Great choice. Yeah, it's good to bring that one up for sure. Okay, I'm going with the Toronto band who I tout all the time. And every time somebody tells me, hey, I went and listened to this album, they love it. So I highly recommend it. The Lowest of the Low. The album is called Shakespeare My Butt. It is just an incredible record. This band could have been a lot bigger than they were, but they turned down record label contracts. They just wanted to do it themselves on an independent label. And this album was released in the 90s and became it's on the list of the 100 greatest albums ever released by Canadian artists, including Joni and Leonard and Neil and everybody. They made that list with this album. It's Ron Hawkins, the main guy. He's a great songwriter. It's kind of a bit new wavy, a bit rock. It's just his voice kind of reminds me of Elvis Costello in a way, but great lyricist. The songs are for the most part really upbeat, and it's just an amazing record. Everyone should check this out. Lowest of the Low, Shakespeare My Butt. Fantastic.
Yeah, I know you've mentioned them a lot. That's still on my list of things to listen to. All right. I guess I'm going to go with one that I always talk about too, that needs to still get more love. And again, this is another artist I know Glenn listens to. And that is the Avett Brothers, Magpie and the Dandelion, which is their third album under Rick Rubin with American Records. And again, just this might be my favorite Avett Brothers album. Just great songs. Morning Song is one of the most beautiful songs by them. I love to hear it live. The song Good to You, which is about it's kind of like a father with his daughter who's growing up. Souls Like the Wheels, which was originally from their second Gleam EP. They have a live version on here, which is beautiful. The final song, The Clearness Is Gone, is beautiful. It's Scott and Seth Avett out of North Carolina, just really coming into their own as songwriters. Their last 2 albums leading up to this, they're really pushing their songwriting, and they've become artists. They're not just thrashing away on their acoustic instruments like a heavy metal band. They realize, we can actually write some pretty good songs in the Americana vein, and we should really utilize that skill. And so they both work really well together. The instrumentation is great. They have one of the guest musicians is Ben Tench. He's on here from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, who's on a ton of their records. Of course, they have their normal band on here as well, but I can't recommend this album enough. I listen to it all the time. So the Magpie
comes up as well. Great band. Okay, I'm going with One of my favorite singers, like, she's got a new album out. I can't remember what it's called now, but Levon Helm's daughter, Amy Helm.
Hmm.
This is her second most recent record, um, called I'm in the dark here a little bit. I don't know what I'm seeing. This Too Shall Light. This album's called. She has an amazing
Ironic.
soulful voice, and it's very rootsy music, much like the band or anything. I mean, she grew up with all that music, right? She plays the mandolin, so it's very acousticy, but very soulful and gospel in some cases. Just that incredible voice, incredible singer. There's Amy there. She's touring right now too, I think. But just an amazing album, and she does she does a song dedicated to Odetta on this, called Odetta, and she does a great cover of Mandolin Wind, this great song off of Rod Stewart's Every Picture Tells a Story, and also what's the other song? Freedom for the Stallion, an Alan Toussaint song, you know that.
Mm-hmm.
But incredible voice, just beautiful album. Check out Amy now.
Very cool. She's another one I need to get into. She comes around my area all the time.
Yeah, you would love her. You should go see her. Amazing.
All right. I guess to jump in again, to stay with the Americana vein. I think I've mentioned this one as well on another video I've done, but this is a group called The Devil Makes Three, and the album is called Redemption and Ruin. And I've got to give props to my friend Chris, who introduced me to this band, who he's seen live. But this is a great record. The first half of the album is called Ruin, and it's essentially like, like their drunk songs, their, hell-raising songs, their Saturday night go out and beer drink, and it's all covers. They do Drunken Hearted Man by Robert Johnson, Champagne and Reefer by Muddy Waters, I Gotta Get Drunk by Willie Nelson, Chase the Feeling, Chris Christopherson, I'm Gonna Get High by Hudson Whitaker, and Waiting Around to Die by Townes Van Zandt.
Wow.
And they have just some of the musicians, just throwing them about. They've got Jerry Douglas, who everybody should know as dobro player, one of your favorites.
Yeah.
Mickey Raphael off of Willie Nelson's band,
Yeah.
player. Larry Paxton. They've got Chance McCoy of Old Crow Medicine Show. They have Emmylou Harris is singing background vocals.
Wow, they got some heavyweights there.
And then on the Redemption side, which is like their, go to church and repent for their sins, they start with There'll Be a Jubilee, which my band has done, by Phil Moore, I Am the Man, Thomas by the Stanley Brothers, Come On Up to the House by Tom Waits.
Yeah.
What Would You Give in Exchange for Your Soul by the Monroe and by Charlie Monroe, Down in the Valley, which is a traditional song, and then The Angel of Death by Hank Williams. And again, they've got Dwayne Eddy is on one of those songs. Daryl Scott.
Daryl Scott's another great musician.
So this is right up your alley. I mean, it's got some great heavy hitters just in the background, and they're a great trio, great harmony, very old time. So you need to check this record out.
I do have to check it out. That's going to be the first one I check. I think I'm going to look it up.
It's called Redemption and Ruin.
Wow.
Devil Makes Three. Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow, thanks for that.
You'll love them. And it's a 5-year-old record, so it's not very old.
I got to mention Daryl Scott. You're familiar with Daryl, eh?
Mm-hmm.
What a
not
great
much,
songwriter.
I know him. Yeah.
He's a great, hold on a second. Sorry. Let's talk amongst yourselves.
Well, while Glenn's gone, let me just say subscribe to the Glen Campbell from the Basement channel. And give us some ideas if you think of anything in terms of another video that Glenn and I should do. Sometimes we'll get into a little rut of what we're trying to do a video on. And if you have any suggestions, let us know, and we'll see what we can do in terms of pleasing the masses. But again, we don't make this show to please the masses necessarily. It's more like a good time with Glenn and I. But without further ado, I'll revert you back to your gracious Glen Campbell from the Basement.
I know you're familiar with Tim O'Brien and his album Red on Blonde, the Dylan.
I almost picked that album. Yeah, to show.
Yeah. So anyway, Tim O'Brien and Daryl Scott have teamed up and done some great stuff together. He wrote the first Dixie Chicks hit. I can't remember what it was called now. Made him a lot of money. I saw Tim and Daryl together. They're just incredible. And I got to kind of meet them, and they're just awesome, down to earth guys, and both so talented, great songwriters. But check out any of the Tim O'Brien, Daryl Scott collaborations. They're fantastic. So
I've seen, I know my sister met Daryl Scott a few years ago, and I saw Tim O'Brien with the group Hot Rise.
Yeah. Cool.
A few years ago as well. So yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So yeah, check out that record. You'll love, everybody will love it if you like Americana, bluegrass, old time singing.
Long Time Gone. That was the first Dixie Chicks hit.
Okay.
Yeah, that's I think it was one of them anyway. That he wrote.
Very
that.
cool.
Yeah. Oh, now I've just shown one. So I guess that's going to take place for one of my shows.
No, go ahead. This is your channel. You make the rules.
Here's an old artist who passed away. Well, old artist in the terms that he's been gone. He died tragically of cancer when he was way too young. But they've just released this album with all his demos, and it's Steve Goodman. This is a fantastic record. It's just all acoustic recordings of Steve's great songs. I mean, he's most famous for writing City in New Orleans, which was a huge hit for Arlo Guthrie. And this is a beautiful album. One of his great songs is called The Dutchman. I don't know if you ever heard it. It's just a beautiful song. And You Never Even Call Me By My Name, which is a country classic. The Auctioneer, he does a version of that. And The Water Is Wide, but it's just mostly his songs. And he's got a great voice, and he's a killer guitar player. He played with him and John Prine, best friends, and I know you love John. Yeah, Steve Goodman. This is a really, really good album.
Cool.
Yeah, it sure looked good on paper. Steve Goodman demos.
I'm sure that's great. All right. But where to go next? I'll just do this one. Knock it out. This is one. We're finishing up the fall season here around the world, and whenever I talk about the fall and what music I like to listen to, this artist always pops up. And sorry for the lighting. That's Nick Drake with his album Brighter Later. This is his sophomore album. Tragically, it's only the second of his 3 official releases. But again, I've mentioned this before too, where if you like the album, which I know you do, and Randy Nelson also enjoys Astral Weeks. This is a very Astral Weeks sounding record. And it was kind of, it's on Island Records, which Island Records UK had a lot of kind of quirky artists on it. But I think it was kind of to, go with the Astral Weeks sound. This is 1970. Astral Weeks was 68, I believe. And just great songs. This Hazy Jane is a good one. At the Chime of a City Clock, just very orchestral. The song Northern Sky is actually used recently in the new Tom Hanks movie about Mr. Rogers, and that's during the opening credits. They played the song Northern Sky. Oh. And I thought, I remember I jumped out of my seat. I'm like, oh, that's Nick Drake in a movie with Tom Hanks. So if you know Nick Drake, you know this record because he's only put out 3. So if you know one album by Nick Drake, you should know all 3. But this is the one I wanted to talk about today. You hear a lot about Pink Moon, the 3rd album, and even his first album, 5 Leaves Left. But Brighter Later, if you like Astral Weeks especially, check it out.
Awesome. That's great. Okay, I got to wake everybody up with some classic rock, kind of classic
Wake
rock.
us up.
I got
yeah.
Nick Mason from Pink Floyd, their drummer, doing the Saucer Full of Secrets tour. This is a fantastic album. I mean, I've heard people comment going, I don't really want to get it because he was just the drummer. It's like a cover thing, but it's not. It's incredible. It's so good. You got, if you like Pink Floyd, you have to have this album. Saucer Full of Secrets. They're on tour again right now. Unfortunately, they're playing in the Toronto area, but I'm going to be away when they're on. But just an amazing record. It's all songs from metal, Piper to metal. So they don't do anything from Dark Side of the Moon on. So if you're a later Pink Floyd fan, you may be disappointed. But if you like early Floyd, which is my favorite Floyd, the most interesting Floyd, I think, this is incredible. Great players are on this. Gary Kemp, who's I forget what band Gary Kemp was in, but he was like a new wave guy. And
Spandau Ballet. Was it Spandau Ballet?
yes.
Yeah.
And Guy Pratt, who played in a whole bunch of bands and has played with Robert Palmer. He's the guy who took over for Roger Waters and Floyd when they did the tours in the 80s. And yeah, just an amazing record. Nick Mason's at top of his game drumming at in his mid 70s, and fantastic album. Can't recommend it enough.
Very cool. All right. Yeah, let me keep people awake, Glenn, and then I'll calm it down with the last two after this. And I know I mentioned this group before. I've done a video specific to this band, and that is Fountains of Wayne. This is their final album. It's called Sky Full of Holes. Just great summary jangle pop, power pop. Again, Fountains of Wayne are a group that I've really come to love during the COVID pandemic. Just great playing. Chris Collingwood, just a great singer. Adam Schlesinger is the arranger and main songwriter with Chris, who of course we tragically lost last year due to COVID, but just great songs. The opening song, The Summer Place, Action Hero, A Dip in the Ocean is probably their most 60s sounding jangle pop song. A Road Song is really fun. That talks about just mundane life on the road, and they write it knowing that it's a cliche song to write, which is kind of funny. They always have a little bit of humor in their songs. Radio Bar is very fun, very a lot of brass in the instrumentation. It's just beautiful. It's got a good mix of rock songs, pop, ballads, a little bit of country thrown in there for good measure, but it's a great summer record. I listened to it a lot this summer. So Sky Full of Holes by Fountains of Wayne.
Awesome. I hear you talk about them a lot. I got, that's a band I got to get into.
You would love them.
My last three are all female artists.
Interesting.
Well, kind of. This is a brother-sister duo, an album that I have talked about quite a bit too. The Watkins Family Hour.
Oh, yeah.
With Sarah and Sean Watkins. I mean, they are both just acoustic masters. Sarah plays an amazing fiddle and violin, whatever you want to say, and she's got a beautiful voice. Sean is a fantastic flat picking guitar player. Together, their voices blend perfectly. This is their latest album called Brother and Sister. This is a beautiful record. They do cover on this, which is kind of cool. They do Accidentally Like a Martyr, the Warren Zevon song, which is just a beautiful kind of a ballad that Sarah does. And this is just a great record. If you like acoustic music, highly recommend this. They're on tour as well right now. Get a chance to see Sarah or Sean Watkins. They did a lot of work with Jackson Browne. They toured on one of his tours, and there's actually a live Jackson Browne DVD you can buy with that band, them in it. And
yeah, it's a great show.
Yeah, they're front and center on that tour. So Sarah and Sean Watkins, brother and sister, the Watkins Family Hour.
Very cool. I know you speak very highly of them.
Oh, amazing musicians.
All right, so to go back into that acoustic world with the Watkins, because this group would fit right in with a tour with the Watkins. This is called, and this is 2019, so it's fairly new. Tides of a Teardrop by Mandolin Orange, who I've talked about before. They're a husband and wife duo out of Chapel Hill, North Carolina, I believe. Just very laid back. I hate to call it background music, but if you were having like a dinner party, it's very good music to have in the background. But the lyrics are very deep, and it's very mean, they use bluegrass instruments and they have bluegrass training, and they're playing. However, it's not bluegrass music. It's kind of like the Watkins, or even to a point like Punch Brothers or Nickel Creek. They have their bluegrass elements, but they are more than that. They're songwriters. And this was written after the lead singer and mandolin player, his mother passed away. And he kind of had this as like a tribute to her with the song Suspended in Heaven, which he wrote as like he's like, I want to write a song like Ralph Stanley, like a Ralph Stanley song. So he wrote that song, but there's great songs. Golden Embers, The Wolves, Like You Used To, which is a great lead vocal by the wife. I can't remember their names to save my life right now, but just a great record. It's actually their last album as Mandolin Orange. They actually changed their name and released an album this year under a new name called Watch House, which is it's the same kind of music, but they wanted to go a different direction. So technically this is the last album by Mandolin Orange called Tides of a Teardrop. Just great acoustic music.
Awesome. That's amazing. Well, I'm going with another Canadian artist who I tout quite often. I think she's amazing. She's also on tour. I think she's touring with Steve Earle. She's touring with a bunch of people right now. But Kathleen Edwards. This is her latest album called Total Freedom. It's doing really well, and it is getting rave reviews. The tour is going really well. This is her first album in 6 years. Kathleen quit the music business for a while after a really successful run on albums. She was on the David Letterman show, and she was Rolling Stone was giving her the artist to watch thing when she first came out, and she's put out some amazing records. But this one, she took a 6-year hiatus because she was starting to have problems with depression and stuff. She opened a coffee shop just outside of Ottawa, Ontario, and became a coffee shop owner. And then in the last year or so, started writing music again and getting the bug. And she wrote a great album. It's called Total Freedom. She's a singer-songwriter, and yeah, just an amazing voice, good guitar player. Great to see live. She really does a good upbeat show. It's for the introspective songs she does. It's she's an amazing person and a great record. Kathleen Edwards. Total Freedom.
Have you been to the coffee shop?
I haven't been to the coffee shop. It's probably about a 3-hour drive for me to go there. It's in a place called Stittsville, Ontario. It's called Quitters Cafe, actually.
Oh my goodness.
She has a website where you can buy all Quitters Cafe cups and t-shirts and stuff.
I guess when you're on the verge of quitting, you really need that cup of coffee to jolt you back into
reality. Yeah.
That's funny. All right, my last record for this video. This came out this year. It's an archival album. However, it's never been released. This is called Live from the Troubadour by Glen Campbell.
Oh, wow. I've never seen that album.
I think you'll really like this. I mean, when people think Glen Campbell, maybe just by like the name, like, oh, he's just, one of those country guys, like Merle Haggard or Waylon Jennings or, I don't know, Willie Nelson, because he came up with those guys in the same era, maybe a little bit after some of them. But this was his last concert at the Troubadour in 2008. And it came out, the track listing is from the tour that he was doing for a covers album that he did, where he recorded a lot of modern artists' songs in his style, like the Jimmy Webb orchestral style. And Glen Campbell, again, what I was saying was, you might think like, oh, if you don't know anything about him, oh, he's just one of those country guys. Glen Campbell was a pop singer. He was a rock singer. He was a country singer. He was a musician's musician. He was one of the Wrecking Crew. He could play anything. Guy. He was in the Beach Boys for like a summer tour when Brian Wilson had his mental health breakdown. So what's so
a fabulous guitar player, one of the great guitar players.
My goodness. Great guitar player, great banjo player. He can play the bagpipes.
Yeah.
He can play bass, harmonize. But this album, the production is beautiful. The first song he opens with, and they play like all like the intro music, and they play like some conversations he has between songs. The first song is All I Want Is You by U2, and it's beautiful how he does it.
So what's the instrumentation? What's the accompaniment like? Does he just have a basic band with him, or does he have strings with him?
No, it's his full band.
Yeah.
I think like when they do strings, it's through the keyboards, but he's got his kids. His kids are in the band by this point.
Yeah.
But he does two Tom Petty songs. He does Angel Dream and Walls by Tom Petty. He does Jesus by the Velvet Underground. He does Good Riddance by Green Day.
Wow.
He ends with Times Like These by the Foo Fighters. And of course, you've also got, by the time I get to Phoenix, Galveston, General on My Mind, all the stuff that you expect. But
Hartford.
what's sad about this is, of course, with Glen Campbell, he passed away due to complications of Alzheimer's. And you can kind of start, even though he wasn't diagnosed until a few years later after this album, there's kind of some hints, like now that of him having some short-term, like he tries to introduce one of the guys in this band who I think he'd been in the band for a couple of weeks, and Glenn doesn't remember his name, even though they've had rehearsals and everything.
Yeah.
But it's a very intimate record. I mean, you can tell it's just a little troubadour, but the production is fantastic.
I gotta listen to that one.
Yeah. Produced by Julian Raymond. Again, yeah, it's one of my favorites from 2021. It's beautiful. It's just
really
well done.
Wow, interesting. That one's really good.
Yeah.
Sam, you did good. I got one more. I'm saving one of my favorite artists for last that doesn't get anywhere near enough attention. If you like Americana, roots, country, rock, punk, singer-songwriter, all thrown in a hat, and a voice that kind of reminds me of Emmylou Harris and Stevie Nicks had a baby.
Okay.
The incredible Lydia Lovelace.
Okay.
This is her newest album called Daughter, which is a real introspective singer-songwriter album. All her albums are introspective, but this one's more just piano and bit of guitar and stuff. There's not any real rockin' songs on this album. It's much more mellow, laid back, and typical singer-songwriter stuff. Just to show a couple of others. This is my favorite. It's called Somewhere Else. This is an incredible album. It rocks up pretty good. The guitar work is really kind of jangly, like Rickenbacker and Fender type guitars, and real just really good rockin' songs. Her lyrics are always really quirky, really good. This is her other album called Real, which is fantastic too. You can see she looks quite punky there.
That's how I felt this morning when I woke up.
Yeah. So check out Lydia Lovelace. Just anything by her. She's amazing. And she has a great Instagram page. She's very open about her moods and feelings and stuff. She's just really quirky, very cool. She's on tour right now too. So I'm a huge fan of hers.
Cool.
We made it. I hope there's still someone watching.
There should be, if they know anything about good music, they've stuck around.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Congratulations for those of you that are still here.
Yeah, they're still here. Thank you. And you guys get a $100 gift certificate from Amazon. Just get a hold of Sam and he'll send out the gift certificates.
I'll forward it to Larry. I'll forward it to Larry Graves. Yeah. Some Amazon CA.
Yeah. So we'll be back. Hopefully in a couple of weeks we'll come up with a good topic. We'll probably maybe we got to talk about the Beatles Get Back thing after we watch it or something. That might be interesting. Just
and
to
Christmas
discuss
is coming. We could do
Christmas is coming, and also our albums of the year that's got to come up. Yeah, there's lots of things that we can get involved with here. So thanks, Sam, so much. I love doing this with you. It's fantastic, and I hope everybody else enjoys it.
Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate you offering for me to come over.
Okay, you guys, everybody have a great day. Peace and
happy Thanksgiving.